Christopher Snowdon from the Institute of Economic Affairs. Richard Tice, the leader of Reform UK, would beg to differ that the Tories are still Conservatives. And he's got his eye on those votes of people that would like to have a low-tax economy and a restoration of civil liberties.
Yes, I think in many respects the Conservative Party is becoming more conservative than it's been for quite a long time. I think it's going back to the post-war consensus between 1945 and 1979. The Conservative Party more or less went along with the idea that socialism was a good thing and it was rather popular, and the best way to deal with it was try and bring it in responsibly and stop the more extreme socialists from getting their way. And that led, over a period of decades, thanks to both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, with Margaret Thatcher being left in a real mess in 1979. And Margaret Thatcher wasn't really a conservative. She had conservative social views, but she was a classical liberal, really. And she had the virtue of economic literacy. And for someone like me, who is not a conservative, that was probably the best period in the 80s and 90s. To some extent, David Cameron and George Osborne took that on a little bit, insofar as there was a bit of an attempt to try and balance books. But under Theresa May and Boris Johnson, I think they've reverted to the more old school form of conservatism, in which you just kind of muddle along. You don't worry too much about building up debt. You leave that 5-10 years in the future. And that, I think, will have the same effect as it did in the 60s and 70s. It will leave somebody eventually with a huge problem to solve, and it will take somebody who's prepared to take big decisions, looking to the future with a view to the reality of economics. So I'm not sure what side of the clash I'm supposed to be on here. I would actually say the Conservatives, if you look at it historically, are in fact probably more conservative than they've been in my lifetime.